we put in a decent amount of games now between the opening weekend all the way up to now, and we've put in almost 50 games at this point. But still, the idea that you can still continue to rise up and learn, because it's a marathon, not a sprint. There's a reason we do battle royales in this format, and that is because you need to be constantly adapting, constantly improving. You're playing against the best teams in the world. So now's the time to learn from them.
Ooh. All right, now Kaito, he's learning that he needs to be very, very careful on where he's dropping, and he should hope for his teammates, but no, it's going to be a very, very quick down and a instant kill secure as well for Versit there. A good start for Dream Eaters, and actually Alpha, they're still fighting them. How does Dream Eater find these guns? Wait, where did that even come from? Oh, did he find a gun, grab the buggy, and went to go chase? I think that might have been what happened.
I think so. And now Meku's chasing down the rest of... the 3 separate fights broke out, and Dream Eaters won every single one. 2 guns and a car. Feel like we're at the start of a sitcom or something. How does the... What? Okay, I mean, I'm sorry, Alpha Legend. You just don't get to play this one. You're just done. You just don't get to participate in game number 1. Like, that's rough.
Yeah, very, 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 very unfortunate start. We can't really... we cannot undersell how unfortunate that start was, because there's not even much that Alpha Legends could have done.
No.
Yes, but we play multiple games, and it's unfair to say that the teams that win Battle Royale games get it just because of luck. But in this particular instance, the fact that Dream Eaters were the ones to find guns so quickly, a little bit of luck. You could look at their drop patterns, and maybe they were paying attention to something else, but Dream Eaters also just got the upper hand in them for finding those guns, like that mini on the rooftop of that building. A lot of things, and now Faker is just going to have to do his best to crawl it out, to snake it out and get some points. Luckily, Alpha Legends, I believe, in the overall standings, they're halfway through. So it's not like if this were SWAT 69, this would be a completely different story.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, again, Alpha Legends have actually had some pretty solid performances overall. This is a team very much in the center of the pack that could, over the next week, or over the next course this weekend, they're going to have to really start to step up their game. Definitely one of those teams to keep an eye on. Another one, of course, being Yala Esports. I'm sort of getting on like the Yala hype train. There's still a little bit of a I was gonna say a wild card, not that wild card, but an actual wild card, because there's one of these teams that's either going to step up and perform really well and get a chicken dinner, or they're just kind of going to be a little bit quiet. And I need just to see more of the former and less of the latter over these next few games.
The question is it the Yala hype train or the Lord hype train?
It's a little bit of both. Don't get me wrong.
A little bit of both.
I'm definitely a Lord fanboy, but and overall, Lord, not with the E. But still, Yala Esports as a whole, I think that if they can follow his lead, if they can work around him, it honestly kind of feels like a bit of a Kunina Power situation, where if you play around Tixie and you set up Tixie to be really successful, that's when Kunina Power has done the most. But at the same time, you can't just rely on one player. So it's a weird dichotomy, Cam.
Yeah, it's all about playing into your star teammates' strengths and trying to put them in the best situations that you can. Unfortunately, with so many things that you have to manage in Battle Royales, it's not always the easiest. You can't always have Lord on the flank, because what if the circle shift happens, or what if another team approaches from a different angle, and now suddenly he's the front man. But you always want to do the best that you can while everyone else holding their own in their positions. And it also just happens to be where the shot calling comes from. Whether you push your team or not could depend on your star player being in a good position to get there in 3 seconds versus 5 seconds or 6 seconds.
Oh yeah, and we talked about the idea of 3 to 5 seconds. Like, oh, it's a 2-second difference, but that makes all the difference in a game like this. Being proactive on your rotations, being quick to respond to your teammates' callouts. I mean, I cannot understate. Like, games have been won and lost in 2 seconds. Especially with the caliber of these players, the skill that these players bring to the table. So definitely need to be mindful of that as we watch, especially in these late game scenarios where I swear, when the chaos starts, the teams that can just get ahead in terms of calling out like where everybody's at and being mindful of their surroundings, that will make the difference between a chicken dinner and 6th.
Looking at Wildcard right now, and I do want to give them a little bit of love here, because I've criticized them for constantly being very late to the play zone, staying hard on the edge. And I don't mean like a medium edge that we see loops and sometimes Kunina Power play, where they're going to be holding down just inside the edge to get some kills on rotating teams. Wildcard feel like they're constantly late, and they're way too scared to push in, whether they're lacking information or lacking that confidence. I do want to say, though, on Erangel specifically, there really haven't been that many northern phase ones. So, I do think they should be playing these circles better. I do also think that they're waiting on just a little bit more love up in their territory to help them in their placements, at least. Maybe not their kills, and that's not inherently going to give them a top 5, not even a top 8 or top 10 in the game. But it is still something that you have to think about.
Oh, for sure. And the one thing I also want to point out and note, I'm looking at the overall map here, and this has been the most standard start we have seen yet. Like, Loops went to Crates, and C9 went to South George, and Wildcard went to Severny, and Tempo. Yes, well, that start, notwithstanding, because that who knows where they were going to go. Yalla and Razak, and footballists down in Novo and B4 and Millie. Like, this has been one of the most standard openings we've seen in terms of drop placements, and I want to make a note of that because it is so standard. Everybody else, like, I've seen them. I've seen the map. Teams literally have maps with names drawn on them where everybody drops. Like, they know. You know what I mean? So they also should know what the rotations are looking like. So I'm watching C9 and Loops doing this like little back and forth dance about like where they're rotating in right now. And being aware of those rotations, you talk about it. You talk about, are you going to edge creep? How are you going to work with... Knowing where teams are going to be rotating is such a key factor in that camera, which is why I'm so glad you talked about it, because it's making me just like excited to see how these teams are working around each other, because other than, like, as I said, like Loops and C9 a little bit, like, nobody's close to each other because they all know where everybody else is going to rotate.
Yeah. It's kind of half the game. The fact that there's enough land in this first circle, you could talk a little bit about Sosnovka Island being fully inside the circle, and we'll see if that becomes a thing in play right now. And actually, well, Alpha Legends Faker, he's trying to defend his position by himself, getting some damage, and I think that's why he is backing off, because the fact that he wasn't able to get that initial knock means that SWAT 69 have full capabilities to respond. A very, very risky path that he's taking because it gives an open shot, but the heal and the potential reload there gave him more than enough time to make his way in safe. The question is, where is he going? Because we've seen teams in ruins get trapped around here if Phase 2 shifts up north.
And keep an eye on that as another fight breaking out around Roz as well. Yalla Esports and Wildcard going toe-to-toe. But we'll be lovingly following along there with Faker, trying to survive and sustain through this as much as possible, as we're keeping an eye on where this next circle is going to pop, because this is going to impact a lot of these teams currently on rotations right now. Ooh. And all the teams coming in from the West are going to be pretty happy about this. Unique, TQ, Cape, Canadian Power, it's going to affect them a decent amount, but I still think that I'm really looking towards Dream Heaters, Wildcard, this sort of area around Farm. I think this is where things are going to get really, really dicey really fast.
Yeah, there is a potential for Loops to gatekeep B4 out on the West Bridge that you can see, but yeah, I agree. I think it's this farm area that people are going to be having a lot of trouble in. I wonder if anyone, I'm looking at Queso, but I think they're doing a full, big, wide, wrapping north rotation.
Interesting.
Big fan of that. Big fan of that.
Yeah, especially because normally that's where Wildcard sits, but Wildcard, when they were sitting through Rozhok, they lost a player, so they had to keep going through. So, because you expect Wildcard to be to the north. They're changing up this time around. They haven't had a whole lot of success with this. But
they're actually pushing in.
And that's so interesting. I like that a lot, but now, Dream Eaters, Rain, out in his zone, playing Scout, 3-1 right now, not taking shots. This is how you're supposed to play this.
Yeah, he's giving good information to his squad, but I wonder what the full extended plan of his position is, because he's quite isolated, and it doesn't look like he has a vehicle in order to retreat. If you just run up the hill that's right behind him towards his team, he could get shot in the open. So in a way, he might just be stuck. This could be part of the game plan, though. This could be an entire play based off of countering Dream Eater's position. And you see the rest of Tempo on top of the hill, but they're leaving.
They
Which
are.
makes me think that this is not a plan. He's now just stuck.
I think you're 100% correct. They could try and loop someone around to pick him up, but that's super, super risky. We're seeing, ironically enough, Tempo Storm rotating back to Pachinki, which is, of course, where they started. Pachinki is my city. Hashtag Tempo Storm. The tried and true, death, taxes, circles, Tempo Storm, Pachinki. Mm-hmm. We've made that joke a few times now, but it's never not true. As all the teams are pretty much rotated in now, Team Queso are going for the big loop. I mean, the big loop, not just even through Roz. They went all the way around. They're going to come in just east of Everest, round into ruins.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting, because that's even further than I was expecting, but I don't think anybody's going to be expecting that rotation, particularly not Faker, who is, like you mentioned before, there on his own and could potentially see himself trapped up against the likes of Team Queso.
I mean, come on. If you're going to make that wide wrapping north rotation, why would you just go through Razak? There's danger there. Just go all the way into the blue and go out towards the west side. The reason why it's a safe rotation is because no one's there, and the hardship in that direction, it's still pretty open. Everyone knows that. You don't even have to be a west side team to pay attention to the west side team's rotations to know that. But over here, Dream Meters is still just holding down shop. There hasn't been that much action on the farm area just yet, like we predicted. It's still phase 2. There is still more than enough area for teams to find their initial location before the fight breaks out. And we have seen a little bit of information gathering, like Konina Power looking at Wildcard from Death Road. And here's Tempo Storm in Pachinki, as you mentioned earlier. But we're just waiting for when the phase 2 closes. We see where phase 3 goes to, and Unique. This is a curious decision, because when a game ends in this area, in Badlands, there are so many angles you have to watch out for. It's like a mini Miramar. But right now, when you're pretty confident that your north is isolated, all those ridges could actually give you really good cover if it shifts up north. But it's not going to do that. It's not going to do that at all. It's going to be a southern hard shift. Loops are in the best position right now, even more so than B4, I want to say.
Ooh. That's an interesting statement, too, because B4 obviously had that little compound. I lovingly refer to it as the Dirty Dozen down there on the bottom.
I like that. I'm going to steal that.
That's really, I know. A buddy of mine caught that, and it's stuck ever since, because you have the coast at your back. You've got the cliff at your back, and somebody, I think, wishing was up against a wall right now. Rain sat there for so long. You're not trapped in here. I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me. As now we see Wildcard with the full send onto Loot. Oh, wait, Footballists, I should say. Now at the bottom of the cliff, and hang on, Footballists might have a pretty solid shot here if they can manage this high ground position. Acer needs to hit the shot. It's not going to be able to do so. Sam also, so while Wildcard may have drawn first blood, it is Footballists who will strike them down. Wildcard, the first team eliminated. The send into Footballists. The start was solid, but they couldn't clean up the execution.
Yeah, I mean, that's the power of this high ground. And Footballists immediately moved to take out the attackers despite losing the first player, as you mentioned. And they're using the high ground still to deal some damage to multiple other teams. Woohoo! It was Yala, now it's a little bit of Konina Power. The shots from Soul Care are landing. They're not getting any more knocks. They only have the 3 kills onto Wildcard. But this is still a really good start for them. The only problem is that this area is not even in the zone. And it might be an interesting push. However, if they continue to do the work that they're doing right now, clear out their area, it is going to make that push a lot easier. But Anas getting a knock. It's going to slow it down just for a second.
That was actually really nice. It was Solke who was doing the damage on the Yala. And it's now Yala striking on back. HH24 knocking Tensa with his grenade. Good times in the kill feed. Tempo Storm having a bit of trouble, I think, fighting up into Nova Esports as well. Rain, the lurker, like we mentioned before, did end up going down there as teams are vying for this spot south of Pachinki. Konina Power is going to be rotating into this as well. Potential third party here onto Yala Esports, who are still making a lot of noise, and Anas is not having any problems just signaling to everybody around him, hey, I'm here. And I am ready to get involved in the fight as Tempo gets eliminated as well. Nova Esports stepping up on the day. That's what I like to see.
Nas here, he's still focused on foot. We're going to see what we're going to do about it, because there's a lot of fighting over here in this compound. This is such a crucial compound in the zone. It's still on the sort of west side, so it's not going to be as important as it is if this stays in the zone into the late game. But Loops, they have 0 kills right now, but the spread that they have is giving them so much initial control. They're going to have to defend against multiple attackers, especially now that Umbra are putting pressure onto them from the south. Becker should be spotting that one out shortly if they aren't aware already. But just look at controlling this hilltop is going to be controlling so much of the zone.
And right now, Team Queso is controlling nothing. Absolutely nothing. They are backed into a corner. And they are going to be in a bit of a rough position once they have to rotate out of this. But this circle doing a lot of work for them here. Loops, though, like you mentioned before, one of the best positions overall. They can survey the entire area around them with no problems. Also, I want to make note, Nova Esports took down Tempo Storm without losing a single player. Really impressive. I think the damage that Tempo did to themselves may have been an impact on that, but either way, nicely done for them. They're going to rotate into Dream Meters here, it looks like. And B4 also getting involved on the flank. B4, a little bit quiet, but that may not stay the same for long, Cameron.
Ooh, Nova wanted to stop there, but they're stopping on the low ground. This gives Maxon a huge opportunity. A good grenade prepped. This could be bad for Nova, and especially because the rest of B4 are now arriving.
Fan taking a lot of damage, HCL in the back, but the angle that Maxon is holding, he is going off maximum damage right now. Continuing to lob nades down. Z-Fan's gonna be able to get off the first aid, but Nova already having one player down, and all of B4 Esports looking to find the angle, and there's the grenade once again. Yes, please, says Maxon. Continue to give me that damage, give me those kills. Now Nova Esports, I was complimenting them. They started this game off so well, but now they are totally on the back foot. They've got to potentially try and reset, reposition, re-angle, but nothing they can do is going to work right now. I think they're actually thinking maybe that's Nova trying to reset here. AZ and HP in a dream, able to get down Mixer. Now HCL is going to try and trade out with him. Buddy system, they're actually able to get the teammates up here. Wait a second, I thought they were absolutely going to lose this fight, but maybe now they have a chance to come back.
It's the smokes that they deployed to give them an opportunity to reset. But they are still hiding on the low ground, and they definitely, Maxon still knows where the pocket is with those vehicles. So another nice grenade to get 2 knocks. And Maxon, he's going aggressive. He wants to finish this off. He wants to give them 0 time to reset a second time around.
Yeah, they made that mistake once. They gave him just a second too long, but now the inexorable jaws of death are closing in on to Nova Esports. B4 wants to do this without losing a single player, but HCL is not going to let them go down quite so quietly. And now, this is HCL up against 2 members of B4 Esports. He's only got bandages left, a single stim. He's going to try and rotate around the outside. Pedro looking to find an angle, but I cannot believe how long Nova's been surviving this. They are going to go down here, but that took so long, Cameron.
Good hold there by B4. I don't want to harp on Nova's play too much. By the way, they're still not dead. HCL is still
not dead.
Around.
I cannot believe it. Come on, somebody kill this man.
Yeah, I don't know what he's really going to be able to do to get out of this, though, because as you mentioned, he has 5 bandages and 5 HP. There's really not much left there. A couple more smokes deployed to stay alive, but someone's got to look over here from...
There it is.
Yeah, good grenade there. At some point, it was either going to be another grenade or someone was going to look over from the Gatka fields. I don't want to harp on Nova stopping at that fight too much. It was a bad fight to take, but when they're driving neck and neck or shoulder and shoulder with someone into a field, you're going to have to fight them eventually, so I do appreciate the proactiveness because there's not a lot of cover in here. That's why Loop's position is still so strong.
It is indeed. And again, B4 already had the angle set up. They had one person on sort of the second tier of the hill and then the third tier of the hill as well. That was really the difference maker there. I think Nova could have taken the fight if they just had one, but having the dual layer of positional advantage really made a big difference here, especially in TPP, because you're able to just sort of look yourself right over that hill and give information to your teammates on the flank, which is why that's so important. However, Sixless. What was that? What was... That kill feed, hang on. You're wondering why I'm getting excited because I just saw Sixless with 3 headshots in a row. Okay.
I don't even know where that was from. Was that from the north? Finding an angle, yeah. That's what I was saying about Nova not going to last too long anyway, whether it was B4 or not, because the open angle onto that hill was going to get discovered by someone eventually. We should talk about the northern shift a little bit as well, because now it's just open flat field. Loop's high ground position is now useless. They can use it to try and clear up the area in front of them, get some kills, but they're going to have to approach the field eventually. And at this point, you need to have a vehicle for cover. You need to hope that you have a bunch of smokes, or you got to be able to hit your shot. Other than that, you're crawling. You're crawling like a snake. Drop your backpack to make your profile as small as possible, but you're crawling.
Oh, yeah. No longer grass is going to do a little bit for you, but these guys have eyes like a hawk at this point, and they're just going to be looking to just clean up every little mouse that's crawled through that field. We'll see how this goes, as Loops is trying to do just that to start this off. Every single time we're switching perspectives, everyone is shooting because this is just a wide open field. Nowhere is safe. Nowhere is off limits. Let's go.
Dream Eaters here trying to defend their position as best as they can, but the Knights, they've actually pushed in a fair bit, and they're not as damaged as you would expect from what they had to do. It's a nice kill there for Carnage, I believe, securing that. But again, just all the utility that is already used. It is only Phase 5, and we're seeing smokes out like it's Phase 7 or Phase 8. That's how open this is.
But I love Loop's positioning.
Yeah.
I love each one they have the vehicles like you're talking about, but they also using these bushes, these additional little pieces of cover, and they spread themselves out so that a nade or a vehicle explosion is not going to chain damage. They actually have a fantastic position. This so heads up, because I thought they were in a lot of trouble because they had that high ground like you talked about. It was instantly negated by that circle shift. Obviously C9 is in a fantastic position here. They've got a compound on the northern edge of a circle. They've got everybody out in front of them. They got nobody immediately to their left and right. They're looking great. It's all these teams that are now on the south side of the circle that have to worry and that have to put the work in.
3 meters, yeah, they have to crawl in. There's no other option. They're going to be crawling directly towards loops. The only reason and actually, before that, high ground that C9 are using, it's not even just having the hard cover, it's having the information gathering and angles from the rooftop. Unique do go down. Frozen is eventually spotted, not able to follow up behind loops like he would have wanted to. But now Dream Eater's in the blue. There's really not much more that they can do at this moment. The spray's coming in from loops. They're not letting anyone into their play zone.
Really, really solid. Really, really solid play from loops. Again, making the best of a bad situation. Dream Eater is going to go down. Denied to the blue there. They're going to be eliminated in 7th. Pittsburgh Knights, though, holding on despite the shot that Bea was able to land from this rooftop position. But C9 is going to have to run it now, and it's actually Konina Power that got the circle shift.
Well, they got it because they went towards the circle. Cloud9 would have wanted to do a lot more damage while they could, but Cloud9, not only do they have the vehicles for cover, they also have a couple of rocks that they set up on. Very immediate play by Konina Power to now have the strongest position in the circle.
And this is, Cameron, we talked about this earlier on in the day, the difference between 4 seconds and 6 seconds, how much of a difference that makes. Konina Power not waiting for those additional 2 seconds, going as soon as it is feasible, continuing on that rotation, looking for this next circle. And Team Queso as well, not in a bad position right on the outside, but it's still loops that I think are going to be the team. The close range fragging, I mean, that's what they live for.
The problem is they're going to be shot by so many different angles, but so are Cloud9. They're trying to get in their vehicles and push in as well. There isn't anyone immediately close to them, but just, it's a field, the wide angles. Someone's going to get dropped. At least one. That's one down already. I wonder if there's going to be any more casualties, but Queso, they're defending against loops. You mentioned it. The aggressive maneuvers. They're at least getting a couple of licks in.
Now it's Carrillo going around on the flank, a 1v1 situation now, jumping around this cover, the UAZ, the drop shot, Carrillo getting outgunned 1v1, but the nade that came through, it was Dadine from range, Becker there as well. Oh my good, I gotta give a lot of props to Team Queso though, they did better than I expected, as Dadine goes down as well, Gonzo cleaning him up. And the play zone actually denying the point as Umbra is going down as well. But Loops took a lot of damage to do that. If you're Konina Power, you got to be happy to see that in the kill feed was one of the other top rivals, one of the other top teams you're vying against goes down. And speaking of going down, Cloud9 eliminated. So that's now only 3 teams remaining, and Konina Power are in a fantastic position.
And immediately, now that Cloud9 are out, Axer spreads up north to get even more control. They know that there's only 8 members alive, and they have 4 of them. They should expect there's got to be at least 2 other teams, which means that, at worst, it's a 4v3v1. At best, it's a 4v2v2, which does seem to be the case. J7's not going to be alive for long, because he's way out in the blue. And Loops and the Knights, all they can do now is crawl forward and hope that they can find an opportunity against Konina Power. But they are in the dead center. They have set themselves up to set up a crossfire and react to anything that Loops or Knights try and throw their way. Their nades are coming out. They're just fishing at this point. They don't have the information. And now that J7 goes down, for the Knights, it's all up to Raven.
This is just Pittsburgh Knights surviving when they should not, enduring when they should not, getting into these situations. And they've got a couple kills to their name as well. But the one thing I really want to note here with Konina Power, Tixie doesn't have a single kill. They have 8 kills, and Tixie doesn't have any of them, which means the rest of the team is really stepping up. That is so huge. That is so important for Konina Power. The idea that they are able to stand up and do this, every single member is going to continue to stand up. Maybe not literally right now, but we'll see as the nades are going on in. Loops is in a terrible position. The vehicle explodes. It's the first down. Carrillo is trying to do everything he can, is able to down Tixie, but Carrillo almost no HP. Will the grenade land? No, a little bit far, but the second one gets it. That's Loops down. And now, in a 4v1 situation, Raven, the last man standing, doing so much work here for Pittsburgh Knights. A second place finish in game number 1. They will take that all day long. And now, it is only a matter of time as Konina Power slowly but surely will track him down. Backpack off, like you mentioned before, Cameron, but this one's all over but the crying.
Yeah, the only thing that Raven can do right now is try and get a kill and finish it to get at least 1 more point. Axer jumping around, being a bit high profile here. Raven's going to go for it. If you can get the knock, secure it, flush that. There it is, 1 kill.